In this lecture, we will be examining the geography of the islands of the Japanese archipelago. In particular, we'll be looking at the ways in which the geography of the region has affected the history of Japanese civilizations. There are four main islands in the Japanese archipelago. Hokkaido, which you can see to the far north in the gray region on this map, is number 2 in terms of size. Its name translates roughly as Northern Sea Circuit. The largest island, Honshu, is the next one down, moving further south. It's the 7th largest island in the world, the 2nd most populous island in the world. Its name translates as Main Province. Shikoku, if you're continuing further south on this map, is the smallest and least populous of the the four main Japanese islands. Its name translates as 4 provinces. Finally, Kyushu is number 3 in terms of size. The furthest south, its name translates as 9 provinces. In total, there are about 6,800 islands in the Japanese archipelago, approximately 430 of which are inhabited. As we mentioned, there are thousands of islands in the chain, but the largest 4 represent about 97% of the land mass of the Japanese archipelago. Some of these islands are little more than rocky outcroppings where birds nest or fishermen set up shop. The total area of modern Japan is slightly less, if you're looking for a point of comparison, than the state of Montana. The islands of Japan have over 21,000 miles of coastline, and this has led to a decidedly maritime focus by the Japanese over their history. They have a long history as sailors harvesting seafood. No point in Japan is more than 95 miles from the sea. Much of the land on the islands of Japan is ill-suited for agriculture, and under 15% of the territory is arable land desirable for planting crops. As a result, the Japanese have long placed a much higher social value on farmers, unlike the lower status that agriculturalists have found in many other human societies. In terms of climate, most of Japan has a fairly temperate climate, with the 4 separate seasons that you would find in the continental United States. However, the climate of Japan varies from cool temperate regions in the north to subtropical regions in the south. The winters on the island of Hokkaido are particularly lengthy and cold, although snowfall is not especially heavy. The Ryukyu Islands to the far south, by contrast, have fairly balmy winter seasons and scorching summers, very hot, sometimes very muggy. Rainfall is especially high in this region, and typhoons are a regular danger on the Ryukyu Islands. This map shows you the location of the major mountains of Japan, and you can see there's you can get a sense of how the archipelago is part of a larger chain of mountains, some of which are, of course, are underwater. 73% of Japan consists of mountainous regions. The highest mountain in Japan is Mount Fuji, which has an elevation of almost 12,400 feet. Japan, some of you are probably aware, is part of the so-called Pacific Ring of Fire, a zone noted for frequent low-intensity tremors and volcanic activity. Destructive earthquakes occur several times a century somewhere in Japan, and most recently the 2011 Tohoku earthquake and tsunami off the eastern coast of the island of Honshu resulted in over 15,000 deaths. The World Bank estimated that the total economic cost of the earthquake and the tsunami is currently over $235 billion US. This is considered by the UN and the World Bank to be the most expensive natural disaster in human history. And I know from a personal standpoint, from watching this on television, I was horrified and riveted for days with the horrors of this particular event. As mentioned, Mount Fuji is the largest mountain in Japan. It's located about 60 miles southwest of Tokyo. Mount Fuji is actually an active volcano. Its last major eruption occurred over the years 1707 to 1708. The volcano is considered to be one of Japan's three holy mountains, along with Mount Tate and Mount Haku. The origin of the name of Fuji is uncertain. A 10th century CE text indicates that the name is derived from the Japanese characters for the words immortal, while other folk traditions claim the name means either without equal or never ending. Infiniti is a luxury car division of the Nissan Motor Company, and the corporate logo that you see here is a stylistic representation of Mount Fuji. This is not a casual or accidental pairing of concepts, by the way. Nissan marketing officials recognize the cultural and religious significance of Mount Fuji. This was definitely a calculated move designed to resonate with Japanese consumers. Finally, the Kanto Plain is the most extensive lowland region in Japan. You can see it in the map on the left, on your left, toward the lower right-hand side, and then the map on the right-hand side gives you a little bit more blown-up view of the Kanto Plain. Some of the largest rivers that run through Japan and go through this region. The region is walled by mountains to the north and also to the west, and to the south you have a number of rolling hills that isolate it from the rest of Japan. The Kanto Plain is approximately 120 miles long. It has historically been a highly contested region due to its fertile farmland, fertile soil. Farms that covered the Kanto Plain, however, have now largely been replaced by residential, commercial, and industrial zones. It's highly dense in terms of population. Today, approximately 1/3 of the total population of modern Japan lives in the Kanto Plain. The ongoing tectonic plate activity in the region, the seismic activity, is slowly pulling the islands of Japan in different directions. As a result, the Kanto Plain sinks by about a ½ millimeter a year, which doesn't sound like much, but over the past 2 million years, the plain sank over 1,000 meters. And this winds up our brief look at the geography of Japan and how it has helped influence Japanese civilization over time.